Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. Some people grow up thinking the world owes them everything. Today in the rLounge, money doesn't grow on siblings. My spoiled sister called me cheap for not buying her a wedding gift, so I cut her off financially, then sent her a free sample gift card. I, 32 male, have an entitled younger sister, 25 female, who's been the golden child of our family since forever. Growing up, she got everything handed to her while I had to work for mine. Our parents always made excuses for her behavior, saying she was sensitive or just going through a phase. That phase has lasted 25 years. When she graduated college 3 years ago with a degree that barely qualifies her for entry-level positions, she struggled to find work that could support her lifestyle. And what a lifestyle it is. Designer clothes, weekly salon visits, brunches at upscale places, and vacations she documents extensively on social media. Instead of downsizing or budgeting, she came to me crying about how she couldn't afford rent. Being the sucker that I am, I agreed to help temporarily. Why did I do this? Partly because I can afford it. I've done well for myself, but mostly because my parents guilted me into it. Family helps family, they'd say. She just needs a little boost until she gets established. Everything changed when she announced her engagement to her boyfriend of 8 months. This guy drives luxury cars and wears expensive watches, but as far as I can tell, has no steady income. He comes from a supposedly wealthy family, though I've never seen evidence of this wealth beyond his flashy accessories. My sister is over the moon, already planning an extravagant wedding with a budget of $75,000. When she casually mentioned that she expected me to contribute $15,000 towards wedding costs, I put my foot down. I told her that continuing her monthly support was my contribution, and I wouldn't be adding wedding expenses on top of that. Fast forward to when the wedding invitations went out. She sent me a text with a link to her registry, which was filled with high-end items, nothing under $300. I scrolled through it, wondering who in their right mind would spend that much on kitchen gadgets they'd probably never use. A few weeks later, Sarah called and immediately asked if I'd gotten something from the wedding registry. I said no, reminding her I was already supporting her financially every month as my gift. She snapped that it was different, as everyone gets wedding gifts, and I couldn't show up empty-handed. I pointed out that paying her rent for 3 years wasn't empty-handed. She went quiet, then called me cheap, saying it was her wedding, the most important day of her life, and I couldn't even get a proper gift. I said I wasn't cheap, just practical, and some appreciation for what I already did would be nice. She said, "Whatever, just don't embarrass me coming without a gift," and hung up. My parents called to lecture me about doing the right thing. According to them, my financial support was separate from wedding gift obligations. My mother actually said, "Everyone will notice if you don't bring a gift. Do you want to embarrass your sister on her special day?" I decided then and there that I would cut her off financially after the wedding. The wedding itself was as over the top as expected. I kept a low profile, but couldn't help noticing my sister making pointed remarks. At the gift table, I overheard her telling her new mother-in-law that I hadn't gotten them a wedding gift, conveniently leaving out the part about my ongoing financial support. The day after the wedding, I texted my sister that we needed to talk about our financial arrangement. Her response? "If this is about the gift, just get over it already." I called her and got straight to the point. "I'm stopping all financial support effective immediately. No more rent payments, no more car payments, no more allowance. You're married now, and it's time for you to stand on your own 2 feet. There was a moment of shocked silence, then she exploded. "Are you serious? You're punishing me just because I asked for a normal wedding gift? That's so petty." "This isn't about a gift," I explained, though we both knew it partially was. "This is about the fact that you've shown zero gratitude for the support I've given you for years. You've taken advantage of my generosity, and now you're married. Your husband can support you now." "You can't just cut me off like that. What about next month's rent? What about my car payment?" "Not my problem. You should have been saving some of your income instead of spending it all on luxuries." She continued ranting, calling me every name in the book. I blocked her temporarily to get some peace and went about my life. A few days later, I received a promotional free sample gift card in the mail from an upscale store. One of those $5 off your purchase cards they send to entice new customers. And that's when I got an idea. I mailed the $5 gift card to my sister with a note that read, "Here's your wedding gift. Enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed your gratitude." She received it a couple of days later and immediately called me screaming about how I'd humiliated her and ruined her honeymoon with my pettiness. I let her vent for about 30 seconds before hanging up and blocking her number again. Some family members think I went too far with the gift card. Others, most of those who know the full story, think it was justified. My parents are still trying to mediate, suggesting I at least help with her rent until she adjusts to married life. But I've held firm. The way I see it, I've supported her for 3 years without so much as a thank you. I've given her more than enough time to get on her feet, and instead of using this opportunity to build financial stability, she squandered it on maintaining appearances. Her ingratitude and entitlement were the final straws of the wedding gift drama, just made it crystal clear that she sees me as an ATM, not a brother. So no, I don't feel bad about cutting her off or sending that gift card. Sometimes people need a reality check, and my sister had hers coming for a long time. Maybe now she'll learn the value of money and the importance of gratitude, or maybe she won't. Either way, it's not my problem anymore. My bank account is already thanking me, and the freedom from her constant demands feels better than I expected. I've decided to use the money I would have spent on her next month to take myself on a nice weekend trip. After 3 years of bankrolling her lifestyle, I think I deserve it. Am I the a-hole for cutting off my entitled sister and sending her a $5 gift card as a wedding present after she called me cheap? Edit. Thanks for all the responses. To answer some common questions. 1. Yes, my sister knew exactly how much financial support I was providing. The arrangement was explicit, not some vague helping out situation. 2. No, she doesn't have any health issues or special circumstances that prevent her from working. She has a full-time job, she just spends her entire paycheck on non-essentials. 3. My parents aren't in a position to support her the way I have been, which is why they pushed me to do it. They're not wealthy. 4. Her husband supposedly comes from money, but I've never seen evidence of it beyond his flashy accessories. I suspect there's more show than substance there. 5. Several people asked me if my sister has always been this entitled. The answer is yes. Growing up, she was the baby of the family and got away with everything. My parents enabled her behavior, and I guess I did too by supporting her financially for so long. I'll post an update if anything happens. You spent 3 years supporting your sister financially while she continued living beyond her means and showing zero gratitude. That $5 gift card was kind of the perfect, subtle way to highlight the absurdity of the situation. You've done your part to help her get on her feet, and now she's married. It's reasonable to expect her to start handling her own life. If your parents are upset, that's their problem, not yours. You've earned the right to step back. Update 1. It's been a few weeks since my last post, and a lot has happened. Thanks to everyone who supported my decision to cut off my entitled sister. Your comments really helped me stay firm when things got messy. And boy, did they get messy. About 2 weeks after I sent the $5 gift card and cut off financial support, my sister and her husband returned from their honeymoon. Apparently, she discovered her rent hadn't been paid when she got back. I usually had it set up to auto-pay, but I canceled that after our confrontation. Her landlord served her with an eviction notice for non-payment, which sent her into a panic. She called me from a different number since I had her main one blocked. When I answered, I could tell she was crying. She kept saying she didn't think I was serious about cutting her off and she needed help. I reminded her that I had been very clear about ending financial support and that this shouldn't have been a surprise. She said they didn't have enough saved to cover rent and asked if I could just pay it one more time while they figured things out. I refused. I told her she should talk to her husband or his supposedly wealthy family. A few days later, my parents called. They were upset, saying my sister was struggling financially and that I needed to resume payments at least until she gets on her feet. I asked them why they weren't helping if they were so concerned. They admitted they couldn't afford to support her lifestyle. Exactly my point. Neither could she, but she never adjusted her spending to match her income. I told my parents that I supported her for 3 years, giving her plenty of time to build financial stability, and that I was done. They said I was being heartless. Things escalated when my sister's car got repossessed due to missed payments. She showed up at my house unannounced one evening, crying hysterically. Her husband waited in an Uber outside, which I found telling. Why wasn't he coming to the door with her to ask for help? Probably because he was embarrassed or knew he had no right to ask me for money. She begged for a loan to get her car back and pay rent. I refused again and suggested she ask her husband or in-laws for help. She said they were having temporary cash flow issues, but wouldn't elaborate. I'm guessing the family wealth she bragged about isn't as substantial as she claimed. A week later, I received a certified letter from her demanding repayment of what she now claimed were loans I had given her. According to revisionist history, all the money I'd given her over the years was actually loans she had intended to repay. She threatened to sue me for breaking a verbal contract. There was no contract, verbal or otherwise. I had given her money as gifts to help her out, and we both knew it. Then she took it public. She posted on social media that I had abandoned family and stolen from her. She painted herself as the victim, claiming I had promised to support her and then cruelly cut her off without warning. I don't usually air family drama online, but I felt I needed to defend myself. I posted screenshots of my bank statements showing years of payments to her with the caption, "These aren't loans. These were gifts to an ungrateful sister who called me cheap for not buying her a wedding present on top of this." The backlash against her was swift. Many people commented that they had no idea I'd been supporting her financially for so long. Some pointed out how entitled she sounded complaining about not getting a wedding gift from someone who had given her so much already. I later found out through a cousin that my sister and her husband had moved into his parents' guest house. Apparently, his parents weren't as wealthy as they appeared. They had money, but not enough to support my sister's spending habits. She had to get a retail job, and her husband was still between opportunities, whatever that means. The most interesting development came when my sister-in-laws contacted me. They wanted to know about her spending habits and financial expectations. It turns out she had told them I would continue supporting her after marriage, which was news to me. They were shocked by her expectation of ongoing financial support from family. I explained the situation honestly, how I'd supported her for years, how she showed no gratitude, and how she had called me cheap for not buying a wedding gift on top of everything else. They thanked me for my candor and said they were starting to see patterns in her behavior that concerned them. My sister found out about this conversation and sent me a barrage of angry texts accusing me of turning her in-laws against her. I didn't respond. I've learned that engaging with her just fuels the drama. Throughout all of this, I've maintained my decision to cut off financial support. My bank account has never looked better, and I've used some of the money I've saved to upgrade my home office and take a weekend trip. It feels good to spend money on myself for a change. I'll post another update if anything happens. Thanks for all your support. Update 2. It's been about 3 months since my last update, and the situation with my sister has taken some dramatic turns. I wasn't planning to post again, but recent events warrant a final update. The biggest news, my sister's marriage imploded after only 3 months, according to family gossip. Her husband expected her to continue receiving financial support from me throughout their marriage. When that money dried up and really set in, he couldn't handle it. Apparently, he'd been telling her they would be fine because her rich brother would keep bankrolling them. When that didn't happen, the relationship quickly deteriorated. My sister moved back in with our parents and has been blaming me for ruining her marriage. My parents called shortly after she moved in, suggesting I make peace and help her through the divorce. I declined. I've maintained my no-contact policy and have no intention of getting pulled back into her drama. They weren't happy, but it seemed to accept my decision. About 2 weeks after moving back home, my sister lost her job. She claimed transportation issues after her car was repossessed, but from what I hear, she just couldn't be bothered to wake up on time. My parents are struggling with having her at home again. They reached out suggesting we split the cost of getting her an apartment. I declined again and suggested they help her find better employment instead. A cousin who's still in contact with both of us told me my sister has been telling everyone I promised to support her for life. She's apparently showing edited text messages as proof. I sent my cousin the original unedited screenshots showing the truth, and she shared them with the family members, exposing my sister's lies. This caused another round of family drama, but at least the truth is out there. Speaking of my parents, they finally reached their breaking point. They gave her an ultimatum to find a job within 30 days or move out. They asked if I had any employment connections for her. I suggested several entry-level positions that matched her qualifications, but she refused all of them as beneath her. She thinks that she deserves a high-paying job despite her limited experience and spotty work history. My parents followed through on their ultimatum, and my sister was forced to find her own housing. She's now renting a room in a shared apartment and had to sell most of her remaining luxury items to afford the security deposit. She's working 2 jobs to make ends meet, but still blames me for her situation rather than acknowledging her own role in it. It's now been a year since I cut off financial support. I've calculated that I've saved over $28,000 by not supporting her. She continues to struggle financially and refuses to acknowledge any responsibility. She's burned bridges with most of the family with her constant lies and manipulations. Last I heard, she was telling people she plans to sue me for emotional damages, which is laughable. For those wondering if I regret sending that $5 gift card that started this whole saga of updates, not for a second. My only regret is not cutting her off sooner. This will be my final update on the situation. I've said all there is to say, and frankly, my sister is no longer a significant part of my life. Your sister has had it way too easy her whole life. She's been the golden child, spoiled and completely unprepared for reality, and now it's finally catching up with her. She needs to learn that the world doesn't owe her a paycheck or a lifestyle just because she wants it. This is the kind of wake-up call she desperately needed. She can't keep blaming you for every consequence of her own behavior. This is her lesson in responsibility, and it's about time. She can either step up and start acting like an adult or keep stumbling from crisis to crisis, but you were absolutely right to stay out of it. What do you think of this? What would you do? And thank you for joining us today in the rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time, and please put your chair back where you found it.